Hi, Jeff Ludy here with Houston Window Experts. Today we're going to make a quick video for you about how you can remove a window in a brick opening. Maybe you're thinking about doing it yourself. Maybe you're hiring somebody, you just want to know, are they doing it right? We've got a much longer video than this one where we go into a lot of great detail. But in this one, this is just pretty much about how to get the window out. We're not even talking about how to put a window in. We've got a video about measuring. If you haven't seen that one, we'll put a link for that. How to measure. We measured this window earlier. And then now how to take it out. I'm standing here with Brandon. Brandon is one of our crew leaders. How long have you been doing windows, Brandon?
6 years now.
6 years. His dad's been doing windows for 106 years. He's been doing it for
like 20 years.
Yeah. So this guy's done a lot of great stuff, and he's been featured in some of our other videos as well. So the first thing we should talk about is safety, right? That should be on everyone's list. So describe what you've got going on here.
So our PPE requires us to wear our sleeves. These are Kevlar sleeves. That's going to help us stay protected from glass protruding our skin or anything like that, scratched and all that. So we have gloves as well that are cut. They're like I think cut level 3s is what we use, but they have all the way up to cut level 5s. Safety glasses, of course. Tarps for the outside to catch any falling glass. Tarps on the inside as well for the same thing.
Steel-toed?
Steel-toe shoes, man, we got it all. You know, we're dealing with glass, so it can be very, very dangerous. So if you are doing this yourself, spend the money and just get the proper PPE.
So what is this in your hand here? Because anybody can take out their own window if they had one of those.
So this is a glass cutter. They sell these at Lowe's, Home Depot. This one is sold at it's not at a box store. It's a little bit more expensive, but one at Home Depot or Lowe's, they work just as fine. I think like $3 a pop. So.
All right, well, let's cut out a piece of glass and we'll show them how the glass comes out first.
All right. So we're going to take our glass cutter. We're going to go corner to corner here. Same thing on the other side, corner to corner. And since we scored it on the outside, we're going to pop it from the inside. So you're going to go around and you're going to tap the glass so that will break along that line that you just scored here with the glass cutter. Doesn't take much pressure at all. Now this is probably the most dangerous part of the install, is taking out all this glass. You see how this glass just comes out so easy, it's barely glued in there. Right now you can see along the bottoms of here, there's caulking there that's dried away for years. So these are just almost ready to fall out. So easy to take these glass out. Straight to a trash can. Now you're going to follow that same step all the way up and across the window, corner to corner. We scored it on the outside, you're going to pop it from the inside.
Okay, so we've got all of this glass out. There's a couple left. Brandon ran into a problem, which you might run into, and we thought, oh gosh, we got to show you what the problem is so you know how to fix it. Go ahead, Brandon, tell us what's going on.
So we have silicone holding in this bottom glass in right there, you can see that. So whenever we go to take the glass out, that's going to prevent us from pulling that glass out like we just were when we had that old nasty stuff on the side here. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut that loose with a knife.
So how do you know it's going to give you trouble? I mean, you haven't even tried it yet. You can tell just by looking at it, right?
Yeah, just the consistency of it. It's not dried. It's still applied to the glass and the frame side.
So look it down here with the camera. See, this is like 1950s something. I know because I used to work at an Ace Hardware when I was in high school. This is called glazing compound, and this actually comes in a little bucket like this, and you use a trowel and you put it on. This is almost like a cement of sorts, right? And you can see that's all original. That does not look like that. Look how this looks. This tells us, just by looking at it, that at some point this got broke. Somewhere in the last 100 years, this was broken and they had to replace it. And of course, silicone's gonna hold differently than glazing compound. But yeah, go ahead, let's try it. Let's knock it out.
Put it over here. All right. So we have our glass loose. You gotta just take it slow and just cut and peel it back, and you'll see how it comes through you. See, this one we haven't cut yet, and you see how it's not allowing me to pull it out. If I pull too hard, it's gonna break that glass. So take your knife and run that down there, and it pulls right out.
Okay, so Brandon got all of the glass out. Good job, looks great. And now we're gonna take out these dividers, and I thought it'd be a good place to just talk, quick lesson here on dividers. So this is what's called a mullion. You've heard of a mullion, right? A mullion is where you put two windows together. This piece right here is a cap that holds two windows together. You'll see that again in a minute. These right here are actually just called grids. We call them grids. Now there's an old term for this called muntins. You've probably heard of muntins, okay? This can also be called a muntin or a grid. Now in the old days, right, like this window, this was actually 3 separate pieces of glass. So this is what we call a true divided light. They actually are truly divided in the middle by this bar. Now, with modern windows, we still see some of this, but not much. Now this would just be one big double pane sheet of glass, and the grids going over the surface or between the glass would not be true divided light. They'd be what we call simulated divided light. So it makes it look like it's 3 individual pieces, so it kind of looks like the original look of the old days, but it's really not. It's just a simulated look. So tell us, what has to happen now?
Now we're gonna bust these out with the hammer. We're gonna hit it as close to the edges here because there is a screw holding that together. So I'll take the hammer here and down with it. All right, next we're gonna go to the inside. We're gonna pop these sashes out, score the caulking line that connects to the sheetrock, and then we'll be ready to take the frame out. Okay, now we're going to bust out the meeting rails right here with what your logs are attached to. Now for the mullion, I'm going to grab my Sawzall. We're going to cut that in half and then beat that out the same way as we did the meeting rails.
Okay, so this looks like a typical opening. You've eliminated everything, but we're not really done here. Just so you know, there's 2 types of window replacement. One, you would get right here, you would stop, you would clean all of this up, and you'd have a window that would fit inside of this window. It would come with a special wide frame band on it called a flange or a Z-bar that would end up covering this area, and we would leave this in place. Some people like doing that. And it's probably okay to do that when you have a really big window, but you have to remember you're gonna have less glass when you're done if you leave this in place because you're gonna put a window inside of a window. So if this window was only 24 inches wide, we would have been losing at least an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half on each side, which would have made it too small. We don't do that in Texas. Some states require it, like California. That's called jumping the frame in that case. But in this case, we're gonna take the whole frame out. So show us how you pull the frame out.
Alrighty. So this is a little different from ones with nail-in flanges. These are held in by clips. So I got to go through and take all these screws out, and then we can collapse the frame like you would if there was a nail-in flange.
So if you had a nailing fin, you would continue this process. But you see here on the sides, you can see that they have clips. That's what these screws are right here. Okay, so time to release this from the clips, and then we go back to where we were. All right, Brandon, so you've taken that out. We're ready now to continue pulling. I did notice that pry bar looks kind of interesting. Tell me about the pry bar, and what's the little blue tape pad you've got there too?
So this pry bar is on a swivel head here. There's a button that releases that swivel. So this allows you to get into like narrow side lights areas. You can just collapse it like that and then really get it in there. If it was just a regular pry bar that didn't have a swivel, you really have no room to do anything in a small 11-inch side light.
And that's made by Crescent, I see.
Yes, it is. And,
so that guy's on the beach and we're here working, right?
Yeah, sweating in Houston, Texas. So humid.
It is humid here. All right, well, let's keep pulling it out.
All right, so whenever I hit this crowbar into the frame, I'm going to use this blue board that I had in my hand as kind of a pad for the brick. That way we'll keep from damaging it. Can you tilt that?
Okay, so all the frames out. The next step is going to be to clean this opening and get it ready for the new window. Anything you'd have to do on the mortar here? It looks like it's pretty good, doesn't it?
Yep, no excess mortar. So I think we're ready after we get it all cleaned up.
You know, these houses that were built years ago, it seems like the craftsmanship was maybe a little better. I mean, the brick is really nice and straight on this. I noticed that there's not any cracks going on here in the brick. And sometimes we see that, which is why we have to be very careful when we're prying against it. But a lot of times too, they'll have a lot of excess mortar, right? Like squeezing out of here. We'll have to chisel that out. But in this case, looks pretty good. Okay, so Brandy, you got everything ready now. Here's the new window. We have no divided lights on this one. They're modernizing the house a little bit. And then this is 2 windows, just like the other one we pulled out. See that? Yep. In this case, though, it has an actual mullion that puts these 2 windows together at the factory. Instead of being done here in the field, it has a little cap with it. So now that we've got everything ready, what's left?
Just to set it in now.
Screw it,
level it in, screw it down, seal it up.
All right, this is where you want some help. You got some help inside? Got a helper in there? All right, here we go. Let's put it in.
We all the way in? All right, all the way in against the sheetrock. Now it's time to screw it down.
All right, so here's where the brains has to kick in with the brawn. If you notice here, we're using a level, right, to get this window level. But look at something in this house, right? The house is not square. If you look right here, you'll see that there's actually daylight coming through at the top, right? And then it starts to narrow its way down, and it actually pinches here in about the middle. It's wide again at the bottom. So that's what you get when you're dealing with older homes. And we'll show you what we're going to do to fix that up. It's the same thing on the other side, isn't it, Brandon?
Yep, same exact thing. Looks like it kind of bows towards the center a bit on the sheetrock.
And it's important for us to have this window plumb, square, level. You know why? Because otherwise, this will not operate as easily as it should. And also, this has a weep system in it so that the water, if it ever did, for some reason, the window failed and water got inside of the frame, it would be able to escape out. Well, if we're leaning in towards the house or we're not sloping properly like we should, then we're gonna have a problem with that. So what needs to be done to this window?
So it needs to be level. The way it sits on the brick, it is not level. We need to go up on this left side. So let's get a shim over here in your corner. Okay, let me check it. And that is perfect there. Perfect there. And perfect there. Okay. So now that we have it level, just to double check, you can always check with your sight lines on your sash. You see straight across, we have an even gap from your left side to your right side, about 1/4 inch all the way across. You can check it with your meeting rail. See the gap right there, the sunlight coming through between the top of the sash and the meeting rail. And that is level. Now we add our 3-inch screws.
Now that's not a substitute for using a level.
No, it's not. You got to use a level.
But also line of sight, right? Because it's not just should work good, it should also look good.
Exactly.
And that's just confirmation. So on this window, it has a little plastic clip there that's kind of a jam liner that you took off and gives us a chance to hide the screws behind there, correct?
Correct.
Tell us what you're hitting back there.
I'm hitting a stud, a 2x4, and most likely the jack stud. That's holding up the header that's running across here at the top.
Okay.
So we're gonna send 3 on this side through there, 3 on the other side through there.
So we want to make sure that there's something to bite on, right? I mean, if you got to bite.
Yeah, so before you put your window in, just take a look at your stud behind there and see where it's at, locate it, and remember that. So that way you know where to put your screw in.
Very nice. Wow, perfect. Good job. So do the same thing on the other side and across the top. And then we will be injecting some foam into this. And we're using Quad, which is a product by OSI. We have a great video about Quad sealants. You might want to watch that. They're the best you can use. It'll help us fill up all these gaps in here. And then we'll be done. So thanks for watching this video. If you're in the Houston area, come by and check out our showroom or give us a call. If you're somewhere else and you'd like some information about maybe finding a great window dealer in your part of the country, there's a link below. You can check that out. Maybe we know somebody where you live. Maybe we can recommend someone. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.